Dinesh, this is Ajay. I'm here. Hey, Will.
Hi, Saji.
Hi Dinesh, this is Saji. Hi Bill.
Hey, how are you? All right, just we'll give a couple more minutes. I'm glad to see some people that I haven't seen in a while. Good seeing you. Hey, Mike. I know you're on the call. If you can start letting people in, can you do that, Mike? I don't know if, or I can let somebody else do it. That's fine.
No, I got it.
Okay,
Let me
just
see.
right now nobody. But I'm just saying, while I'm in the meeting, there's probably somebody going to be wanting to attend. Yeah, just while I'm on the call. All right.
Did you? Oh, Will, did you give me
No.
co-host to do that?
Yeah, I'll give you and Herman. Herman, I can give you co-host too. So then you guys can let people in and let them out while we're make sure nobody's staying in the waiting room.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, there's James. Erica, is it cold there that you have to wear a hat?
I'm cold all the time.
Really? You're in California. You're in Southern California. How can you be cold?
I even put on a jacket and a
Oh my
scarf
God.
sometimes.
Dude, it's like 60 degrees right now.
You could never survive in Chicago. All right. Hi, Sawyer. How are you?
Well,
All right. So I'm assuming everybody's familiar with Zoom, right? Because we are in these times, right? So we're gonna start. I'll give 2 more minutes. How's that? Because I think we're still expecting other people before we start. Can everybody see my screen? Okay. The title of the. Can everybody see that? Yes. No? Okay. Yeah. Eugene. Yes. All right. So, hey, Dinesh, you guys doing okay out there? No.
Yeah, we are reading, hanging there. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All virtual, remote. We switched on to teaching software, like cloud technologies and other things. I mean, just
Okay.
keeping kids occupied. Yep.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we switched
Good.
over.
Good.
Yep.
Good. Awesome. All right. All right. We'll give 1 more minute. I know we're expecting a few others. I know we have a mix here of people that are not experienced with WRO, right? I think there may be a couple here. I'm not some of the names I don't recognize, but maybe they're but most of us here have been with WRO, but we're gonna take it from the standpoint that um, this is a new initiative for you, and you don't know anything about WRO, so we're gonna try.
Yeah, I just got text from two of the school directors. They're not gonna be able to make it. They have training, so
Okay,
they need recording.
Well, I am recording. So.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Yep. Okay, so let us start. So you guys can see the presentation, okay? All right.
Not yet, right? I mean,
I don't see the presentation.
Oh, you don't see it. Okay. Okay. Oh, that was my problem. That's what I'm asking. Sorry. Thank you for letting me know. All right. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Hi. So I'm Will Wong. Been involved with WRO for since 2014, 15. So, and we also have on our team is Herman. You can wave Herman and Erica, and Joyce and Eugene. So those are our team here. We are kind of going over the year for this year. We have a new year, 2021. The season actually kicks off this Friday. So the rules, the games, the theme, everything gets released. And we're gonna talk about what we're gonna do here in the USA. We're gonna talk about how we're approaching it this year, how we're structuring certain things, and I think for those who have been involved in the past, I think you're gonna like what we're doing this year. If we can even get to physical competitions, but I think we're gonna have contingencies as well. But the goal is to have physical. Um, so let's just get into this. So this is the agenda for today. We're going to just talk about what's new for 2021. We're going to talk about something you may or may not heard of. It's called the U.S. Engineering League. It's an organization that's going to be operating WRO. We're going to talk about competition plans for 2021. We're going to talk about the theme. It's called Power Bots. I don't know if you guys know that. We also have an overview of the role of a tournament director. Okay, so Herman's going to go into details of what a tournament director is, and we're going to talk about how we're going to run WRO competitions this year and next steps for you as we start off this year. Okay, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to chime in and interrupt. It's okay. We're all friends here, so just chime in and let me know that you have a question about something. Okay, we'll also leave the end for questions as well. All right, so let's go. So what's new for 2021? So this year we're going to be operating the national organizer is going to be the U.S. Engineering League, and we'll get into that in the next slide. We're also going to have a new revenue share model. So for those who have run tournaments in the past, uh, you will be getting more money as a tournament director. You'll be getting a bigger share of the fees that you collect. So if most of it actually, so that's good news for you, right? We're going to have new competition formats, including a USA only format, and we'll talk about that. It's called Sumobot. Um, we have plans for in-person and virtual competitions, right? So we're going to have a blended model. I think there's a push for virtual, so we're going to try to do some of that this year. But the goal is always to host in-person competitions. Um, we do have nationals right now targeted for Juniper Dome, which some of you have been to, or a lot of you, back in 2019, back to Sunnyvale. Juniper wants to host it again. I guess they liked it so much that they want to do it again. So that's the goal for right now. Who knows? Plans will change. We'll see how things go as we during the course of the year. But that's the goal right now. And right now, it is decided, though, that international finals will be virtual. We will not have a country hosting it. Our WO Association, our main governing body, is going to be running it themselves. Okay, so that's going to be our international final. Yes, Herman.
So we have a question in the chat. Can you do a quick introduction of what WRO is?
Yes. Okay, good question. So thank you.
Yeah, because there's some new members here.
Yep. So WRO is the World Robot Olympiad. The World Robot Olympiad, and that's a good point. I need to add it to this presentation. So that's one thing. I knew we are gonna have some other new. Okay, so World Robot Olympiad is a STEM-based robotic competition. It is has close to 30,000 teams worldwide, over 80 countries. Right, Eugene? Just tell me if I'm wrong. Close to 80 countries, and it basically is a competition that really inspires kids to design, build, and program robots and working teams. So there's different formats of the competitions, which I will get into a little later, but it is a competition, and we are talking about the USA only here. And in the past, we've had opportunities to send teams internationally, but this year, because of COVID, we're not going to have the opportunity. But we will still have the opportunity to host nationals. Okay, I hope that helps. Yeah, and we will have a new website up on Friday. Yes, it'll be live. Actually, we're working hard on that right now. Okay. So okay, let's go into what's next. Okay, so about the U.S. Engineering League, again, the U.S. Engineering League is the governing body for the WRUSA, but and all tournaments will fall underneath this governing body. the mission is to offer STEM-based competitions, right? Really what it is we're kind of a multi-competition, multi-disciplinary organization that really tries to strive to provide education and competition and kind of combine that and make it easy for kids and teachers to come on board and learn. It's a club-based organization where you have to basically start up clubs, and as a club you compete in competitions, and you basically learn and get education materials and learn and compete. And there's all different varieties of that type of competitions that we're designing and hosting. So that is, and WRO is one of them, and WRO is a main one of the main ones that we're doing. We started this back in 2018, and we're to the point where we're starting to roll, right? I mean, Herman has done a lot of work out in California. I'm in Illinois, and we're really pushing forth this USL club concept going forward. Okay. So for USA, and this gives you a little bit more information if you don't know about URL. There's going to be 3 categories, okay? And I'll talk about the 3 categories. WRO USA going to be running 3 different categories. So in a competition, you can run. If you're a tournament director, you can run just one category if you wanted to. Okay, so you don't have to run all 3, and you can just run a specific age group too, because so it's kind of like a matrix. There's 3 different categories, but also 4 different age groups. The regular category, which is our most popular, is a tabletop competition where there's a mat and teams have to build a robot, design and build a robot and program it to complete certain missions. And basically, they try to achieve the highest score that they can by completing this mission. So robots have to go around the mat and push, pull, identify colors, carry items to one place to another. So there's a lot of different tasks that the robots have to do. Okay, and there's specific randomness to it as well. So the robots have to run autonomously. All robots run autonomously, meaning there is no manual control of these robots, and that goes for all for both regular category as well as the sumo bot. So so that's the regular category. The open category is a different type of competition. It's a different category where teams actually come up with the design. They actually come up with a solution for a theme, and this theme is about Parabox, which is all about renewable energy. And teams have to design a prototype, come up with the idea, and present the idea to a group of judges. And it's I call it almost like Shark Tank like, where the judges will ask all about their concept, talk about the feasibility of their concept, how it will help the society or whatever solution that they're trying to solve for, problem that they're trying to solve for, and they need to basically show a working prototype of their idea as well. And it's in our competitions we actually have a booth set up for each one of these teams to present. So it's a little different than regular. And our third category is called the USL Sumo Bot. Sumo Bot, you may know it, but it's basically it's if you can imagine, two robots or maybe even more, just trying to in a circular arena that will try to either push or flip the other robots to win. And you have to design robots to do this, and they have to work autonomously. Okay, there's different age groups across these. We have kids as young as 6-year-old in our WEDA group, and there's an elementary which is 8 to 12, junior which is 13 to 15, and senior which is 16 and 19. And those cross across all of those categories. Okay, we may be hosting some virtual sumo bots or other type of WRO competitions virtually, and we're still working on that. I think we were talking about having Panama involved or something. So somebody, I think Eugene was just talking to me about it just before the meeting. And there's different types of tournaments. So now, as a tournaments, there's different types of tournaments. There's local tournaments, which teams advance to regionals. Regional tournaments where teams advance to nationals, and nationals which they advance to internationals. Okay, we're going to start the season now. It's going to run through September, which is where we're targeting for our national finals. Okay. Yes. Somebody was asking about Lego. This is a Lego based competition where you have to use all Lego parts and components. Okay, it could be any types of Lego, but a lot of the core that everybody uses the Lego education robots, which are either the EV3, or the Spike, or the WeDo kit, depending on the age group as well. Okay, any other questions so far?
Hi, Bashir here.
Hi, Bashir.
So I think the open category, you're allowed to blend any other third-party components, software, materials, but that's
Right.
just for one category.
You are, but as long as you you still need a Lego
Oh, some Lego, yeah.
controller or
Yes.
something that you need
Okay.
to have a Lego controller there.
Okay, because I think, yeah, the website for the 2019 or the 2021 competition said we're not setting any blending limits or for how much Lego and how much outside of Lego components.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah,
okay.
and we'll clarify that as well. But that is correct. Yeah. So typically in the open, and think about it, open is more of a creative, innovative um, challenge where so you can use, you know, any type of materials, you know, cardboard or metal or plastics, whatever you want to do. A lot of people, some teams use 3D printing, whatever, but a lot of them, but it does have to have a Lego base, a core to it. So it still needs to use a Lego controller to control the prototype.
Okay.
Well, is the Sumo League Lego only as well?
Yes, it is, and we'll go into that as well. Yes, Herman will get into it a little bit and explain it a little bit. Okay, good questions. Any other questions? All right. So again, as a tournament director, you have a choice. You don't have to run any. You can run one category and one age group. That's the minimum, but you can run multiples. And a lot of our hosts like to run, multiple categories, multiple age groups as well. So it depends on your abilities to host, and because each category has a different setup. So you need to think about that as well as being a tournament director and space requirements and so forth. Okay. All right, so let's keep going. Any other questions? Good. Thanks for the questions, guys. These are good questions. Thank you. All right, so the competition theme this year is PowerBots. All right, it's I'll let you guys read. I don't have to read it, but it's all it's about renewable energy. It's about using using our energy smartly, and the missions for the regular categories. You can see there's a snapshot of the mats for the regular category there. That's the mat for the power bots. The sumo bot mat is also there, so you can kind of see that as well. It's just a circular mat, but it's kind of like if you ever watch sumo wrestling. And I put also a picture of an example of an open category presentation, right? So it's a team of 3 presenting their prototype for their solution, their idea. Okay. So this kind of gives you an idea. The rules will be posted and made live on Friday on our website. Okay. Questions? Okay, good. Thanks. All right. So now for you guys, let's talk about what's the benefits for you guys for being a tournament director. Again, I'm going to talk about the revenue generation. You're going to get the majority collection of competition fees. That's definitely a shift from what we've done in the past. We're going to try to make it as easy as possible by providing you curriculum and materials to run certain programs as well. You'll also, because you're a WRO tournament director, you'll also be able to host other USEL competitions. And I'll show you that in the next slide. But USEL also hosts other types of competitions outside of WRO. And by being a WRO tournament director, you also get to run other competitions as well, if you so choose. You'll get exclusivity towards your geography, so that you may have a certain area, a certain region, or even a certain state, right? Or set of states actually that we have conference directors. Well, also it's good branding for you, right? If you're an after school business or your school, it's good. It's nice to have this type of branding and recognition for your school or for your organization. And you'll get the support of our team. Our team is a lot bigger than when I was running it out of Wong Foundation a couple of years ago. So we're able to help you even more this year, and we're structuring it so we can help you as much as we can. Okay, and we'll get into that as well. All right. Any questions? All right. These, again, when I talked about you being a WRO tournament director, you also can be a USEL tournament director for other types of tournaments. We also run Sumo League. We also run Coder Z, which is a virtual robotics platform. We actually just ran a couple. Some of our teams made it to the Sweet 16 this year. We just finished that season. We're into RC car racing, both physical, in-person racing, and virtual, which is on the iRacing platform. We also have an esports category, which is, basically it's what you think it is. It's gaming, but there's a whole education approach to gaming, right? There's a lot of careers in gaming, and whether you like it or not, but kids who game, may be doing it for life, right? So they may be doing not necessarily gaming, but they may be doing something in the gaming industry. So that's part of our support and our approach to do it. And we're looking at other things to do. So, this may expand as well, but being a WR host, you can also be part of these competitions as well. All right. Any questions? All right. I guess it's good so far. All right. So I'm going to hand it off to Herman right now. Herman, you're going to talk about being a tournament director.
All right, everyone. Hey, I'm Herman. I'm out in California. I'm actually the commissioner of USEL, right? And so kind of tasked with kind of developing different ways to implement some of the competitions that we're partnered with and some of our personal competitions to make them fun and exciting. Also deal a lot with rules. And then you guys will be working a lot with me when we start going over tournament director training. I have a lot of experience running tournaments. I've run tournaments everywhere out of small classroom or cafeteria sized areas, and also out of 25,000 seat stadiums. So I've had experience through the whole spectrum. And this is kind of one reason why we started developing USEL as a whole, because we felt there was a need to improve the way we offered our tournaments, right? And I think you're going to be excited about some of the stuff that we're going to be presenting here. One last thing. So moving forward, right? If you're a tournament director with USEL, you're considered to us a USEL tournament director, right? That's why you have access to the World Robot Olympiad platform and any of our platforms, right? So it's kind of all under one umbrella, right? And we're partnered with World Robot Olympiad. They're our strongest ally here, right? In this effort to move forward. So we really want to support their programs just as much as anything that is unique to USEL. There's going to be different levels. So there's going to be a lot of information, but you guys will receive. Are they going to receive a copy of this? Will?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys will receive a copy of this
presentation.
So at any point, if you need me to stop, just raise your hand.
I'll send the presentation out tomorrow morning to everyone.
Okay.
That's Joyce.
So thanks, Joyce.
Harman, a question. This is Dinesh. I'm from Robotics for Youth. We host other competitions as well. So is there a exclusivity that we need to only be hosting USEL competitions, or is this we are free to do other things on our own, right?
No, so you're free to do other competitions as well. But this is just kind of one more thing you could add to your arsenal, right?
Yes.
Okay. Like I have my own private company out here in California, just like Will has a private organization. And I think most people here have private STEM organizations. So this is just something that, you can add to your arsenal. So that's kind of the way we're approaching it. But in general, right, as a tournament director, you're going to be a sanctioned official who's licensed to operate tournaments under the USEL brand, which includes all of our partners, right? And you're going to be able to operate these tournaments in your designated geographic area. You're going to be able to offer any events in any style that you want, right? And any number of events. One of the big things we're moving towards is we want our tournament directors to really, use their entrepreneurship, right? We all started this business for different reasons, right? We wanted to help students and also make a career out of it, right? Be able to support our families doing something that we love, right? And we want you to use, that entrepreneurial spirit, right? To, make being a tournament director something viable, right? Because I'm always of the belief, right? The more we can operate and the more we can benefit from operating tournaments ourselves, the more access and the more opportunities we can offer to students that are in our program, right? One of the main things that we're gonna require of you is it's gonna be up to you as a tournament director to grow your area, right? So we're WRO in the US is still kind of at the ground level, right? And we're trying to build up our numbers. So I think you guys are coming in at a good time. But yeah, so one of the main responsibilities that you have as a tournament director is to grow your local area, right? And so that's something that we're gonna really be checking in on you, seeing how we can help you in any ways that we can. But I think you're gonna like some of the assistance that we're providing. And you'll see why we really wanna make this your responsibility. Because if you're successful as a tournament director, right, USEL and all the organizations that is partnered with are gonna grow, right? So go ahead and next slide. So one of the partnerships that we're developing here is a great software program. It's called Scoreholio. I don't know if anybody's heard of it, but for me as a tournament director, one of the most stressful things about running tournaments is how long they take, right? They take all day, right? It could be any tournament from 30 teams up to massive 150 team tournaments, right? Across 3 different divisions is the stress leading up to it is worse than actually running the event, right? Because we're planning all this paperwork, all this documentation, sending out schedules ahead of time. I'm really excited about the Scoreholio partnership that we're working with. It's going to make tournaments very, very easy to run. I use Scoreholio already for some sumo bot competitions that I'm running within my own club. And also I use it for other activities, right? I host like cornhole leagues and things like that. And it's all automated. So this is going to essentially eliminate the need for us to do paper schedules beforehand. It's going to eliminate the need for you to be up there as a tournament director. Can I get team 5 to table 2, please? Where's team 5? Where's team 4? All that goes out the window. It's app-based. Teams get notified when they're up and directed from the app to what table to go to. It also notifies their parents who have downloaded the app that their team is up and ready to compete. And it calls up the next team automatically. And so, for instance, if you have 10 teams that are competing in 4 tables, right? As soon as you hit start tournament, it says team 1, 2, 3, 4 report to these tables. They run their robots. The table judge enters the score, clicks submit. It'll page the next team automatically. And there's also a side area where it has the teams that are like on deck or coming up, right? So they're pre-warned. And I think it's going to be a game changer for you guys, right? Because one of the other things that we're really pushing is we want you guys to be successful, and we want you to run multiple tournaments for students, right? We want to really move away from the time of where students only have one chance, one shot to qualify for some sort of national or regional event, right? And Scoreholio is going to make your tournaments, the tournament times, cut in half. Of course, we haven't been able to test it actually with a WRO tournament, but I'm very confident knowing how difficult it was for me to run tournaments in the past, and knowing what we need, that this software is going to reduce your competition times by at least 50%. And I think parents are going to be blown away by it, and they're all going to compliment you like, man, where did you get this software from? Did you develop it? It's amazing. So you're going to get a lot of compliments on this software. And when we have our main tournament director meeting, I'll go in depth to show you all the different variations, how to run it, from the simplest way to the most complex way. What's also awesome is they have some updates on it. So these scoreboards get projected on like students' phones, parents' phones. So you can also, like, if you have league sponsors, right, you can program the Scoreholio app to show your tournament sponsors' logos on students' phones, on kids, on the parent phones. So this is going to be a great selling point when you're looking for sponsors for your tournaments, right? And that's an update that just came out last week. And then the last part, it's automated. So all you have to do is check in teams, and you can even, when you get it kind of programmed the way you want, you can just scan teams in with a QR code. It'll populate your tournament roster and click start tournament, and everything else will be all automated. You don't even necessarily have to call out teams. It's all projected on a projector. Pretty amazing. So we'll go in depth into that. I'm really, really excited about the Scoreholio partnership and what it's going to do for running tournaments. Go ahead, next. And I know Scoreholio is new, so like I said, we'll go over that at a later date in a tournament director training, right? Here's USEL's tournament priority. These are the tournaments that we really these are the order of tournaments that we really want to really focus on this year. Obviously, with COVID, we have a lot of things going on. We don't know, what's going to be possible, right? But in no general order, the three main tournaments that we really want to focus on are WRO USA Regular, Sumo Bots, and WRO USA Open, right? So as tournament directors, we really want you to hopefully offer at least one tournament this year in each of the categories that we want to prioritize here. Will, did you have something?
Nope.
Okay.
No, I'm just sorry. I'm just letting people in.
Oh, no, I was just looking at the chat. Okay. But yeah, so that's going to be the main focus. So when we're doing training, we're going to train a lot in those three categories. But of course, you're welcome to offer Coder Z. We have licenses for use for those and kind of other things as well.
Yeah. So Todd is asking a question, right? Is Scoreholio is going to publish the scoreboards? I think you got to clarify that Scoreholio is meant for operational streamlining of a tournament, not necessarily the actual scoring of results.
Yeah. So that is a good question. Yeah. So Scoreholio is used for actually keeping the tournament flow, right, and keeping it moving, right, like pushing your tournament along. Trying to stop those gaps of where we can't find teams or someone doesn't know they've been called. And then it's going to eliminate all that pre-tournament paperwork that you're doing. You're not going to have to develop in-depth paper schedules anymore where you have each team, time slots, and things like that. Your pre-tournament process is just going to, block of time. This is when we start, right? And if you have a start time, once you click start tournament on that app, it's going to start running the tournament for you, right? So it is an app. It's programmed web-based, but it's run through apps, right? The way I run it right now is through Fire tablets, and it works amazing. So just for an example, I ran a 10-team USEL Sumo Bot scrimmage the other day with 10 robots. We did 4 rounds of round robin, and then a double elimination best of 3 tournament, and it took us 45 minutes. So, and this was with kids building in between. So it was pretty awesome. So go ahead and next slide. So here's some of the stuff that you guys are going to be interested in the most, right? How are we going to support you? So I know from experience, right, some of the hardest things about being a tournament director is unless you have teams that are already embedded in your area that are experienced, majority of teams that do contact you, they end up not participating because they're nervous or they feel like they can't do it. Especially if you try to go into the school systems, where I've had a lot of success. And this is where I can be a very good resource for you, trying to help you get into your school systems. But I know one of the biggest hurdles I had to cross was telling these schools, don't worry, you're going to have successful programs. The way I did it in the past was I taught it, right, myself. So I would say I'll coach all your teams, all 100 teams. I'll coach them all. We'll run different tournaments for them. You know, because school systems, they want to have something nice, like a showcase. That's what your tournament is, right? To show parents. That was pretty stressful, right? So what we decided to do was we're starting to develop curriculum for all our programs, right? So right now we already have the first series of SumoBot curriculum. It has 5 separate robot builds that are competitive robot builds that teams can use, and it has step-by-step how to code that robot with multiple sensors and different style sensors on the builds, all step-by-step, right? Because we want you to be able to approach a school or some sort of nonprofit program that is looking for some sort of STEM program that might be good for them, but that they can also get exposure for, and tell them, hey, you know, you don't have to be nervous about participating in WRO or USEL, right? Because we're going to give you what you need to be successful, right? Because the super competitive teams are going to go above and beyond what we give them anyways, right? But at least we're going to give them builds, coding, step-by-step coding. So that way, when their robots are going on the map or they're sumo wrestling, right? Parents can be like, wow, my kid did an amazing job. One of the worst things I hated seeing at tournaments was seeing a new team come in. You have this struggling coach that doesn't really know too much, but they just want to give their student an opportunity. And then they're ashamed because they scored 0 points, right? And they tried their best, but they just don't know. And then what happens next year? They don't come back, right? So we want all our students to at least be scoring points, being successful, and their parents saying, wow, like I couldn't have taught you that. Good job. Right, so we're developing curriculum. Right now we have our curriculum team working on WRO curriculum, right, which is going to have unique builds for not only EV3, but also the Spike Prime, which is something that we really want to move towards here in the future. We want to get students on the Spike Prime, right, and we want teams to be successful using the Spike Prime. And it's going to be the same way. They're going to have unique builds every year for the specific challenges in all the levels. And it's going to be step-by-step, not 100% completion, right? But enough to get them so that way, you know, their robot can run around, solve a couple missions, and come back to the house, come back home, right? Never again do I want to see a team in USEL or WRO come out here and have a robot that doesn't move or it doesn't score any points, right? We're supposed to be encouraging these kids, not discouraging them from participating in our tournaments. The good teams, they're gonna be okay. They're gonna not even need our curriculum, right? But you as a tournament director, right? We want you to get out there and develop your area. And the only way you're gonna be able to do that is to find new teams that haven't participated and break down that barrier of nervousness. You're also gonna get brand protection, right? Because when you're with us, we're not going to oversaturate your area with tournament directors, right? You're going to be that sanctioning voice, right? You're going to be the sanctioning authority in a worldwide organization that hosts tournaments all around the globe, right? And that's going to give you a lot of authority when you walk into schools or companies and you're pitching the program, right? You're the sanctioning body in your area. No one else is going to be able to offer WRO unless they ask you permission, right? So that's huge. I know that's been huge for me out in California. And that's something I want to duplicate and make sure that we're providing to you guys, right? Because I feel that was a huge marketing point and something that helped me really grow out here. Even when I was small, right? I had a lot of sanctioning power that WRO provided me to run these tournaments for schools. And that was kind of my foot in the door there. We're also going to have national structure, right? So we're going to have ranking systems now, right? We want schools to be able to go onto our website and see their teams and I say schools a lot because I work a lot in the school systems, but we want teams to be able to go up at any point and see where they rank against teams from all over the country, right? So you're going to have to submit results after your tournaments, right? So that way we can rank them for you. Next slide. And I'll kind of go over this really briefly, but we're going to do WRO rankings based off of winning percentage, and I'll explain how we're going to do that. This is going to be where we start changing and being unique here in the US, right? We want our robotics competitions to kind of mimic a lot of US sports, right? So everything here is wins and losses. We're still going to have the old system in place for those teams that do have robots that, maybe they're not consistent, but they can get it to hit a perfect score, once out of 3 times. But we are going to start ranking teams nationally based off win percentage, right? And how do we do that? The only way to do that is if we get teams going head to head, right? So we want you guys to start moving towards having teams compete head to head, either on one table, taking turns, one after the other, or side by side simultaneously, right? And with the Scoreholio app, it's going to make that really easy to do. We just have to take some time to show you how to set up Scoreholio, but once you got that going, right, you can have head-to-head tournaments every week if you want. And, it's going to be a different style for teams, right? Because it really comes down to how reliable your robot is, right? If you can hit a perfect score 1 time out of 3 times, right, you're probably not going to be winning all your matches, right? So it's a new variable, new dynamic, brings new strategy. And I think it's going to be more exciting for parents, right? We all like seeing our kids compete head to head, right? In real time.
So I think you mentioned. I think this is in regards to regular, right, Herman? You're talking about
Yeah. So this is regular category. Okay. Open category, we can't compete head to head. And sumo definitely is. Sumo is all head to head, right? And then we're gonna also train you guys in some various styles that can bring some more excitement, right? So one of the things that I know you guys have all dealt with as tournament directors in the past is you get those parents that complain like, oh, this team always wins because, they have the great coach, William Wong over there, right, in Illinois. So his team's always going to win. I don't like coming here because, they always win or they're cheating or whatever it is, right? So there's different ways you can offer these tournaments, both sumo and regular category. Right, round robin. You can go round robin matches into single elimination tournaments, and you can get those tournaments done in about 3 hours, 4 hours max if you do like extremely long build times for them. Also, we want to introduce doubles, right? So I'm going to start. I have a lot of teams out in California, right? So we're going to start offering doubles where teams can form alliances beforehand, right, and come to tournaments and do traditional regular style competition, but they're working, it's both their scores, right, added together. Obviously there's no doubles at internationals, but depending on the success or how much participation we have in that category, we may offer that at nationals, but we'll look at that towards the end. And then a fun tournament that's going to be excellent, I think, for some of your teams out there that I think once you run it, you're going to fall in love with this style, right? It's called Switcholio, right? It's a doubles event, right? But so it's a doubles event, except when teams show up, they show up as individual teams, right? And they don't know who their partner is going to be that day. So this is going to really encourage them to meet new teams, right? Talk to new teams. That's another thing, right? At tournaments, teams don't talk to each other, right? There's a lot of like, don't look at my secret robot, right? A lot of secrecy around robots. So we want to kind of eliminate that. And Switcholio, what it does is teams will come in, they'll compete in round robin. So they'll get like 4 matches. And each of those 4 matches or runs, right, they'll have a different randomly assigned partner or team, right? So it gives those teams that maybe are always at the bottom of the pack a chance to compete and win matches with those teams that have those awesome JPL style robots, right? And then based on an algorithm, it will actually pair them with the most balanced teams across the board. So like the first place finisher in the round robin that has the most points will get paired with like, say it's 10 or say it's 20 teams. We'll get paired with the 11th place team. And then second we'll go with 12, so on and so forth. So it gives those teams that normally will never win a tournament, right? It gives them an opportunity to get randomly paired up with the team that may be able to carry them to a victory at that tournament, right? I think your parents are going to love it. I think your students are going to love it. And once you run your first one, I think that's going to be a huge style of tournament. You're going to get a lot of requests for it. So I know because I run Switcholio, not in robotics, but in a different sporting event, right? And everybody loves it. So it really balances the playing field. Okay, next. So director types and permissions, right? This is what we're kind of all here to see. So there's different director types. There's local, regional, and then as we grow and get bigger, we're going to have conference. And there's also school directors. So if any of the school directors are on here, that's going to be for you guys. In general, local directors can run unlimited number of tournaments locally, right? But their local authority is that they get to advance teams to regionals, right? So if you're a regional director, or if you're a local director, you don't get to advance your teams to nationals directly anymore, right? You have to find the closest regional director to you and see when they're hosting their regional event, right? But you can run any unlimited number of in-person events. You can run any USEL platform, right? And teams that run in your events, that's when they start getting ranked nationally, right? So that's the benefit of being a local director, is that your teams get to show up on our national rankings when they run at your events. And your events are kind of like the step ladder to a regional event. Your teams advance to regionals based off of a tournament of table of eligibility that we'll release here in a couple weeks. But you can also offer USEL training and curriculum to schools, right? So that's something, right? We want you to be successful. We want you to kind of make money on this endeavor, right? And so being a USEL local director, you are going to be able to approach a school and say, hey, let me put together a local tournament for you, or let me train your students to compete in a local tournament, right? And you can sanction it, or they can you can prepare them under the USEL umbrella for a regional, right? So a lot of benefits there. And then, so as a regional director, right, you have all the permissions as a local. So it kind of just anything in the previous level, you have all those permissions. I'll get into that here in a second. I see your question, Aisha. And then, so you have all the permissions as a local. You're going to get your exclusive area of a region, right? Your area is going to be larger. Now, local directors, right, we're not going to necessarily say, hey, you can only be a local in this area. But we're going to make sure that we don't assign other local directors near you, right? We want you to have your local area. Now, a regional director can be the regional director in a local director's area, right? They're kind of overseeing. Your team's advanced to nationals, right? So this is the big one. Regional directors have the authority and sanctioning authority to advance teams to nationals. You can also, as a regional director, apply to host open invitationals, right? So those are like those all-star tournaments that we hear in soccer and some of the other sports, where you're inviting teams from all over the country to come out and compete in your open invitational. And as of right now, because we won't have any conference directors yet, you can also apply to host international friendly events. Now, the international friendly events, you know, you may lose that permission next year because that's going to be reserved for conference. But who knows, right? If you get big enough, you can be the conference director.
Hey, Herman. So there's a couple of questions coming in.
Yeah.
Can a person be all types of directors?
So essentially, yes. So, right. So if you're a conference director, you get all the permissions of the prior directors, right? So you can host locals, and that's what we want to encourage you. Actually, we want you, if you're let's say you're the regional director, we want you to run a bunch of local tournaments, right? So that way you can advance all those teams into your region, into your regional, right? So essentially, by being a regional director, you are also a local director, right? You have both sanctioning authorities. And if you're a school director, that's a little bit different. It kind of doesn't fall under these. It kind of only goes local, regional, and conference. So as you kind of progress through the ranks here, right, you do get all the permissions that are before.
And another question that came in was, do you cover the regions? Todd, you may want to explain a little bit more, but are you asking what the specific regions are, or what do you define as a region? What are you asking, Todd?
Yeah, I thank you, Will. And thanks for everything that's being covered today. I really appreciate it. I guess my question was, in terms of the regions, are those defined already? Like, for example, are we a West Virginia region, or are we a larger Appalachian region here where we're based out of in Fairmont?
So they are not. So they're not defined, right, as of right now. So what we're going to ask at the end of this is for you to submit your request for which type of director you wish to be.
And which
right?
region,
And then
which area.
we'll be in communication with you to discuss what if you're requesting regional permissions, right? You know, what your region would entail.
And
right?
I think I know where Todd's coming from. He may be asking, what is a state level? Is that a regional director, right? I think that may be a question as well.
Yeah. So when we grow to that level, right, a state level director would currently right now fall under the region, right?
Yeah.
So we don't have directors in all 50 states, so where we can have like a strictly dedicated state director. So what I'm thinking here is as we grow, right, a conference director is going to be in control of a state or two, right, just depending on how the growth goes. So we'll kind of cross that bridge when we get there. But as a regional director, right, if you request that and in your application, you're stating, hey, I want to control a whole state, right? That's something that we can look at on a case-by-case basis right now. So regional director is kind of the highest. We're hoping our conference directors will be in control of multiple states. That's what we're looking at for conference directors. Right, but right now, one of your permissions you'll see on the next slide as a regional director is you do have the opportunity to run state championships at this time. Right? Does that kind of answer your question?
It does. I mean, so to elaborate on what William was saying, and probably the background behind my question is that we're currently the state level coordinators for numerous other programs. But in prior conversations with William and others, Alex, et cetera, we had offered to coordinate events probably based in West Virginia, but for a larger audience. In other words, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Kentucky, Virginia regions, because we do have the capabilities and capacity to hold events for larger than necessarily our participation in our state. That's why.
So I think the best setup for someone in your situation, Todd, would probably be a conference director, right? Because you're spanning multiple states. And that's where I'm kind of going with this. I don't think right now, for the most part, regional directors have to necessarily be a state director. But we can kind of cross that bridge on a case-by-case basis. But for something like that, where you're covering multiple states, right? I would suggest applying as a conference director, right? And we can kind of discuss what your plans are and see if that suits you best. Now, these permissions are just kind of for us to kind of stay organized to know who's doing what. If you are a regional director and you want to run a state championship, I mean, we don't have an issue with you saying, hey, you know, I'm Todd, I'm the state director for West Virginia, right? That's fine. This is just kind of for us to keep track of who's really doing what in what areas, right? So regional director, state director, just depending on how big the state is, right? It really could be interchangeable. But I think for your situation, I think maybe looking into a conference director might be.
Yeah, and I think Todd, you may want to state your case, right? I know you have a great reach and you have big programs and things like that. You know, you may want to talk about how you can organize and help, and we can slot you in as a conference director. But there may be state directors that will fall under you, right? So maybe there will be a Pennsylvania director that kind of you work with, right? So as a conference director. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Our goal is to expand the opportunities to kids within the Appalachian region. Traditionally we focus on our own state, but with respect to WRO as a growing program, one that we hope to expand and make available to more and more kids across the country, we're willing at this time to take on a larger role.
So think of it this way, Todd, you could be the ACC of WRO. Does that make sense? Or the A10, the Atlantic Coast Conference. You know what I'm saying? We're kind of using the conferences as the kind of like the college conferences, right? That type of structure, right?
It does.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and in general, I don't want to put a state director portion in here yet. It's just because most of their responsibilities are going to be very similar to a regional director at this point. So,
Okay.
Just,
yeah. Sorry, I had a question with about. So, if you're a conference director, does that also, do you get exclusive? And you want exclusive? So you are conducting competitions across multiple states. But does that mean that you get exclusive rights to those areas, or you get exclusive rights to a particular area, like a state?
So you do have exclusive rights to your area, but so as a conference director, you have exclusive rights as to run conference style events, right? So no one else is going to be able to run conference level events in those states or that whole area, right? But there will be other regional directors in your conference, right? Because you need your regional directors to send you teams. For example, right? I run conference cups, right? So I need teams from multiple regions to qualify to send into my area. So there's going to be regional directors that are working in your areas, and that's where, as a conference director, it's up to you to really have a good communication with your regional directors, because you'll see in some of the other slides, right? It's on the regional directors to get together to make sure that they're not running regionals at the same time, right? We all are here for the same purpose, to grow our area, provide opportunities, and grow USEL events and WRO events in our area, right? So we got to really work together on that. But like we said, we're not going to stick regional directors next to each other, right? You're going to have your nice little area to work in.
But I think what I think Dinesh's question is, to answer it a little bit more is, with greater area comes greater responsibility as well, right? And you have greater accountability as well. So if you decide to be a conference director, you're going to be held accountable for growing the size of what you're asking for, right? So does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you got to provide a case or provide a plan for how you're going to do that.
Okay, so let me run through this really quick. So yeah, conference directors, right? Conference directors have first priority to host state championships. They can schedule conference cup events, which we consider events that are open to teams from multiple states, right? That it's not a national, but it's a conference event, right? And you can advance teams from conference cup events directly to international friendly events, right? So that's going to be a huge marketing benefit for you, right? Is you're actually, hey, I can advance your teams to those international friendlies that are really hard to get a hold of, right? You're going to get some of those slots reserved for you. Now our school directors, right? Different package, right? You're going to be able to host non-sanctioned events, right? Privately for your school. You're going to be able to host individual school tournaments. You can actually, as a school director, host like a private regional. Now there are thresholds that you have to guarantee in terms of minimum teams, but you do have that opportunity as well. And then multiple schools, that's where multiple schools can host a private regional. And then if you're hard charging and you're really like, man, I really, really love what's going on, I want to host a huge event for multiple districts, right? At that point, you're going to be able to kind of run almost a conference style event for your district, right? So school directors are kind of on a different program, and they have some different permissions. Go ahead. And is there anybody that works in the school system, sir? Okay, got it. Next. I'm gonna try to speed it up here.
We're a little over time here, so yeah.
So last thing, right? Local directors, you can create independent leagues, right? And we'll go over this stuff more in our actual director training. But you can also offer USEL branded summer camps and use any of our partner programs, right? So you can do WRO local tournaments, USEL sumo bot tournaments, etc. Regional directors, you can offer private regional events for schools, right? So if a school system calls you, they don't want to run their tournament on their own, you can actually sanction their events for just their district, right? Same permission as before. You can host USEL summer camps that end in regional championships. And then you're allowed to offer summer camps for international co-ops for a single country, right? So you can do your mini international co-op as a regional. And then the only added benefit as a conference director here, right, is that you're going to be able to offer international summer camps with multiple countries, right? Not to the level of an international friendly, but you can have, case by case basis, 2, 3, 4 countries coming to your camps. Next.
No, AFK.
Here's the requirements, right? In order to be a local director, some basic stuff, you got to submit your info. You got to be open to the public, right? Your local events all have to be open to the public. You have to report your results within 72 hours. You must use the Scoreholio tournament software to run your tournaments. This is huge because this is what's going to attract teams that participate in other events that are laggy and take forever to run. This is going to be huge. So you have to use the Scoreholio app to run your tournament. And you must follow USEL branding guidelines with which Miss Erica will be sending out branding guidelines for your tournaments, right? And this is just for your tournaments, right? I understand you guys have other companies and businesses and things like that, but there are some kind of minimal branding standards that we have for that. And then we want you actively promoting your tournaments, USEL and WRO on your social media accounts. Regional directors, right? Same responsibilities as that local, but you have to offer a minimum of 3 regional events per season. It could be Sumo Bots, WRO regular, WRO open, RC when we release our RC stuff. Any category, minimum of 3. If you notice at the bottom, there's exception for this year, right? Obviously, you understand what's going on. So don't get too worried about that. You have to submit your regionals 30 days prior so we can get those up on our event website. And then you need to participate in monthly conference development calls, right? Regional directors have some more responsibilities because we need you guys telling us what's going right, what's going wrong, where you need help, right? Because we want everything to be quick and efficient, right? We don't want tournaments to be hard for you guys anymore. We want them to be, man, that was so easy. I can run this tomorrow again, right? We want a lot of opportunities for these students. Conference directors, just going to skim through this, all the prior requirements, right? You're going to have to participate in some executive planning, right? With us and assist in ranking some teams within your conference when we develop your conference to a level where you can have a subsection to rank teams just within your conference. The big thing is provide projections, right? You're gonna have to get with the regional directors in your area, right? And just quickly ask them, hey, what are you kind of expecting team-wise? Because you need to know that information anyways for your conference events, right? How many teams you're gonna have and how many you plan to advance. And then I'll skip the school director stuff for now. But next. Here's the fees. So to be a local director, there's a $500 yearly director fee. But the benefit to that is when you guys run your tournaments, from now on, we're only collecting $5 per team fee. So I know in the past, it was up to $50 per team at one point, right? And I know for me, who had 300 teams in my area, that was a hard pill to swallow, right? So we want you guys to keep your tournament directors or to keep your tournament fees as much as possible, right? We just need that $5 team fee, right? That goes to helping develop curriculum every year because curriculum's not cheap. We have a third party that's developing them, right? And that curriculum is for you guys to grow your area. Just kind of an example of what local directors normally charge for local events. You can charge anywhere between $50 to $100 for your tournaments, right? So if you're charging a $100 registration fee for your local event, right, you're only paying $5 for every team that's registered after you've paid your $500 director fee. For regional directors, right, you got a $1,000 director fee yearly, right? And that's because you can run both local and regional events, right? And it's $5 per team fee for local events, $10 per team fee for regionals, right? Your regionals are normally going to be anywhere from $100 to $150 for a regional registration fee, right? So it's not too much we're asking there. And then conference directors, right? You're going to have a $2,500 director fee, but it's going to be a multi-year contract, right? So that's not a yearly fee. You still get the same benefits as that regional director, except you get $5 per team for locals and regionals, right? And then it's a $15 per team fee for conference. Still very, very low, right? Your conference events, those are going to run almost close to national fees, right? It's going to be about $150 to $250 per tournament, right? So you guys can do the math there on what you guys are looking to generate for tournaments. I can tell you I was running a regional last year, and I had 85 teams, they paid $125 per entry fee. If I only had to pay the $10 team fee, I would have been very, very happy, right? But it's different structure last year, right? So we really want you guys to be able to really benefit from your tournaments, right? And the reason why we want that, the director fee yearly, right, is because we want you to feel motivated to run multiple tournaments, right? If you're a regional director, like I said, in the future, you're going to want to run a minimum, or you're going to have to run a minimum of 3 regional events, right? And then you can run as many local events as you can within the season, right? So I think last year I ran 3 regionals in my area. I know things seem kind of hard right now with COVID. So of course, like I said, this year, those minimum number of tournaments are going to be kind of waived. It's just going to be 1. But this is actually a great time to find partner event sites. There's a lot of places that you guys can go to ask people to use their facilities, right? And what you're bringing them is customers, right? They can sell food at your event. So right now I run events for cornhole leagues, right? A lot of stuff shut down in California, but I have these venues like the American Legion that have these nice big spaces, right? And we run like 50 person tournaments, right? And they don't charge us anything now. They just want customers to come in and buy things, right? So right now is a great time if you already have a region that's kind of developed and you can start offering tournaments when it's safe, right? Is to really approach those places now that are hurting for customers and get them to waive facility fees for you, right? Come to agreements and tell them, hey, I can bring a bunch of parents and families, right? And you guys can run a snack bar, make money off the snack bar, and we just run the tournament, right? So actually right now is a really good time to contact soccer arenas, workout arenas, American Legions, golf courses that have wedding facilities, and see if you can partner with them to run these events for students.
Hey, Herman, can we clarify a little bit the fees here? So the question is asked, does the registration fee doesn't cover the director fee, the team registrations fees, or I think you just got to clarify that structure.
No, so these team fees go to you, right?
Right.
So these teams, so you as a director, when you run your tournament, let's say you're a local director, you charge 100, you have 30 teams, and 30 teams register for a regular category, which is not difficult, right? You're going to get $3,000 in registration fee. Everything goes back to you except the $5 per team fee.
Right. So if you notice, right, the first line is what's paid to USEL, but the second line is what paid to you.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't clarify that. Yeah. So this top line, right, that's what you pay to USEL, right, to be the tournament director, right, to be that sanctioning authority. You know, you get access to the curriculum, you can run your events, all that stuff. These team fees, that's what goes to you. Once you set up your tournaments, right, if you have 10 teams that sign up, right, you know, everything with the exception of a $5 team fee goes to you, right? If you have 50 teams, it doesn't matter. So it's actually, so we want to get away from taking so much of a fee once you have your registrations, because to me, that felt like punishment, right? When I felt like, man, the bigger I grew my area, the more expensive it was for me to run tournaments, right? So we want to flatten out, like, hey, this is in general, you're paying a very stable fee, right? And then everything else is very minimal. So you're actually being rewarded now, right, for growing your area, right? The bigger you can get your tournaments, the more profit you're going to make as a tournament director.
Right. And
so I guess my question is there a registration fee for teams and an event fee, right? That's a normal structure for other programs. Or are you saying there's only the fee they pay to attend the event, and then a portion of that goes to the US group?
No,
The $5, just $5.
So a team, when they come to participate in an event, they do have the separate registration fee, right? Because we're going to send them the mats, the Lego kits, right? We're taking all that. So no more, they don't have to go out and find their mats, find their kits anymore, right? We have a printer, we have all that stuff now encapsulated in our store. So there's a registration fee, just like Lego, it covers their mats and their Lego boxes and things like that, and then they go out and sign up for your event. Right.
What's the team registration fee going to cost?
$125. And they get whatever division they sign up for. They get the competition mat, they get a sumo mat, and then a Lego kit. The white box with all the parts for it.
Thank you.
So that's the registration fee, and then then they have to go on the site and register for your tournament. Does that answer that?
Yeah, I think he got it.
Yes, thank you.
And then I see print out 20 mats, cutting, sizing in the chat.
Oh no! So basically, it will all the mats will be centrally distributed.
That's correct.
And these fee structures will cover all that stuff.
Correct.
Which is a great relief. Yeah, I think that is a great relief. For standardization and being fair and competitive, and yeah, it's definitely really nice.
Alyssa's asking what Lego kit. I think, are you asking Alyssa about the robotic kit, or actually about the kit that goes on the field?
The robot kit.
Yeah.
So Aisha's one of my partners, Will. It's actually it's the game piece kit so that way you can create all the models for the challenges on the Lego mat.
It's not the actual robot. Yeah.
No,
Got it. That's why when I heard that price, I was like, what is that?
No,
that'd be nice.
No, you're gonna be turning around and selling it on eBay then, right? Yeah, I hear you.
Then, let me see. I think we have one more slide left. Let me get through that, and then we'll just take field questions from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any more questions on this slide in particular? That's
I do. Is the $125 registration fee each time they participate in a tournament, or for the season?
So they pay that for the season. Then if you host two separate tournaments, like a local and a regional, right, you're going to get both of those registration fees.
Right. So a team has to pay a national USEL registration fee, but then they have to pay event fees to you.
Got it. Yeah, I got that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Next. And I see that question. I'll get to that. I'll explain that more at the end.
Hold on. Before we leave, I think, is it Mo? I don't know how to pronounce the name, but he's asking the $5, $10.
Yeah, Herman said he'll get that.
Yeah. I'll clarify that at the very end, because I just want to get to this last slide in case anybody has to leave.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Yeah, we have one last slide. So basically, we're at the end here. Dinesh, I think you recognize that picture, right? We basically want to collect your information now that you've kind of seen what our intent is for 2021, how we're structuring it. We'd like you to fill out an intention form of what you would like to do for this year. So we've created a Google form that Joyce will send out along with this presentation. She'll send out the link to you, and then all you got to do is respond back.
So yeah, and then we'd like to get these forms back as soon as possible.
Sure.
So that way we can kind of start seeing who's going to be where. And then you're going to start seeing, we're working on a national kind of marketing campaign. And so we're going to be marketing directly towards developing tournament directors, right? Because I'm of the belief that tournament directors are the ones that grow the competition, right? Not necessarily the teams. Teams do. If you run a good tournament, they're going to keep coming back every year, right? But you as a tournament director, right, you're the backbone of the success of these different competitions, right? If you're not growing your area, right, we're not going to grow as a whole. So, we are going to be recruiting. So if you know anyone out there that's interested in being a local or a regional director, or that you think might fit, go ahead and send them our contact information or send them the form, right? And they can fill that out. And then go back to the slide, prior. So that was the last slide. If anybody needs to leave and kind of feels like they understand what's going on, Joyce will follow up with the form in an email, and you can kind of fill that out as soon as possible. So that way you can kind of protect your area, right? Right now, it's kind of everything's kind of up for grabs, right? So it's a great time for those of you who have aspirations of being a conference director, right? Taking control of multiple regions. I think you can see there's a lot of potential in the way we structured it for you guys. So that way you can benefit from it just as much as your students are, right? The more you benefit, the more opportunities you're going to give them. So that's kind of my belief there. So anyone else, any questions? I know we had the question here. You can go ahead and raise your hand, but I just want to answer that question about the team fee. So the $5 and $10 team fee, right? Those are determined based on the type of tournament. So let's say, for instance, right, Todd is a conference director, right? Because he asked the question. And Todd is like, hey, you know, I have a little school here that contacted me and they want me to run a 20-team tournament for them, right? And I'm doing the program for them, right? But it's not really a conference thing. So I'm just going to run a local tournament here. Well, when he has all those teams in, say he gets 30 of them, he would only have to pay $5 per team to nationals, right? As the per team fee. The rest of the, whatever money he generates from that tournament, right, he gets to keep the rest of that. Now, as a regional director, say we have, I think Bosher was asking a question at one point. Bosher's asking a question about, or he wants to run his regional, right? He's run 3 local tournaments already himself. He has about 50 teams qualified for his regional, and he goes ahead and sets that up. For his regional, he's going to have to pay $10 per team because those teams are advancing to nationals, right? And a lot of those fees that we're collecting, we're going to be using those for like the spirit bags for when we're running nationals and things like that. But of course, right, Boschers should be charging a little bit more for his regional, and he should make his regional a little bit nicer than a local event, right? And then on up down the chain, right? When Todd runs his conference with multiple states coming out, right, he's going to be in that $200, $250 range per team because he's going to be supplying almost close to like national level style tournament, right? Probably a big venue, 100+ teams, spirit bags and things like that, right? So
Herman, there's 2 questions coming in regards to mats and pieces and stuff like that.
Okay.
So
go ahead and read the question and I'll answer.
So if you're a team that registers, you get the mat and pieces that come along with the registration, right?
Yes, so if you register for regular elementary category, you're going to get an elementary mat, a sumo mat, and the white box with the pieces.
Right. And then the second question is from Todd saying, as tournament directors, do they have to pay for mats and pieces as well?
So yes, you will have to pay for your mats. There's going to be a separate thing in the store for like your tournament director package. It's going to be very, very close to what we purchased the mats for, right? So you're going to have like a separate area that only tournament directors can purchase mats and pieces for.
Yeah, there'll be a TD store.
But yeah, you're still going to have to purchase that stuff, right? So, and we are working with the vendor to make tables
and trophies too, right? So we haven't talked about trophies.
Yeah, tables. We have a vendor for tables as well. That'll be out hopefully by the end of the month. Because eventually, right, with branding, we want all the tournaments, all the playing field the same, using same style tabletops and all that stuff, right? So we're working on getting there. We're not there yet, but yeah, tournament directors are going to have a specialized store, right, where they're going to be able to get all the materials they need at a lot cheaper than if a team was coming to order one extra mat, right?
So you brought up tables. Sorry, hot topic.
I know what those tables are, Todd.
Jay Kenzie is
I know Jay.
buddy of mine. He helped develop these portable tables that fit the 4x8 FLL standard, and they have been the same as the WRO standard in the past. I assume that these are adequate.
Yes.
For WRO.
WRO.
Yeah. So it's the one. Herman's the one I
showed.
The
Andy Mark table is adequate, and because there's going to be some benefits, right, to kind of joining us now here. And having a relationship with us, right? So your tables are going to be grandfathered in, but new So if you have Andy Mark tables or you're planning on purchasing those, because we don't have the supplier up and ready for our specific tables that we're gonna supply, you can use those and you'll always be able to use those, right? Because you're buying them now, kind of like a grandfather rule. But new tournament directors like coming on next year or the year after that, they're gonna have to use the WRO or the USEL sanctioned tables, right? That we're providing in the marketplace for them.
So what's the dimensions of that? What's the difference? What's the cost?
It's based off of the Andy Mark table. It's same FLL dimensions. And then I don't have the exact cost because it's prototyped right now. So they're getting printed and all that stuff. So he'll have that information by Friday. But it's the vendor that we're working with. I told them they need to match the Andy Mark price or be less. So and remember, we were just awarded the national organizer as of January 1st, right? So we've been kind of just moving 100 miles an hour for the last, I think, 3 weeks. So we're getting up to speed slowly but surely. So we don't have everything up yet, but it's getting there. Any other questions?
I have a question. Should I write it in or you want me to ask?
You can ask. You can ask.
So being new to the concept of tournaments, like I'm trying to imagine how many tournaments would I have a year? And with COVID, how many teams, what's virtual versus live? Like I'm trying to create a picture in my head, and they're like pieces that I can't figure out.
I got you. So I can tell you what I'm doing right now. So ultimately, right, your tournaments are going to consist of, are you familiar with First Lego League at all?
A little bit.
Yeah, so you're going to have anywhere from 4 to 6 tables out, right? And anywhere from 10 teams to up to 30 teams. I'd say as a first year host, you're probably going to get in the range of, when people are agreeing to do tournaments and things like that, maybe 10 to 15 teams at your tournament. That's normal, right? And you're basically going to need some sort of a conference room or a gym, if you can find a gym, or some sort of nice sized area that's flat where you can set up a table with a laptop and a computer, right? A projector to project when teams are coming up and the scores. And then you're going to have those 4 tables in front of you. And then you'll have a series of about 10 to 12 8-foot tables that are considered like pit areas where students can rest their robot on the table to build and code, right? That's kind of what a tournament looks like. Like we said, you can run as many of those as you feel you can do. So me this year, I'm going to try to run, hopefully if COVID lifts up, right, at least 2 a month. So that's kind of my goal personally for my area. And as far as virtual goes, there's a couple ideas that are going around there. We are working on a virtual tournament specific to WRO. And then we do have the Coder Z platform that we're working with already that we do use. That tournament's starting up in February, right? And we have really affordable licenses for cheap. You can't even get them cheaper through Coder Z that you can use, right? So we have very affordable licenses that you can use for your area. That's a virtual platform where you're doing Zoom classes, teaching kids, and then they compete against other kids around the country. One other option that I'm going to throw out to you guys that I have had success with just recently, right, is if you have sets of robots and you've had any sort of relationship with schools or learning centers or YMCAs, a lot of them are tired of virtual programs where it looks digital, right? So I contacted a few schools last week and told them, hey, can I send you my robots, or can I drop off my robots at your school, do a 4-week BattleBot career, 4-week SumoBot program with the curriculum that you guys will have, right? So I'm using that same curriculum, and I can show you a sample of it here in a second. Can I run a 4-week program where at the end of the 4 weeks, students will build 4 different types of robots. They'll code it to work they'll choose a style of build that they want for their sumo battle. They will drop that robot off at a school on Friday. I will go pick them up at the end of the 4 weeks, bring them to my facility, and I will launch their robots with the code they used from my facility so they can watch their robots battle live, right? One-on-one. And so I'm doing that. I have 60 teams already that are booked with that program. And I have 3 more schools that are pending right now approval. So I'm looking at about anywhere from 180 to 240 teams by March to run through the USEL SumoBot program. So that's just an idea, and that's what we're here for. So if you guys have questions, right, that's kind of my role for you. Anything I can kind of help you with in terms of like school related type things, right? Feel free to email me anytime. So that's, for me, that's a distance learning virtual program, right? I'm not ever physically with the students, but they are physically coding a robot and submitting it for battle. I'll pick it up and I'll run their robots on a Saturday via live stream. And I can give you more information on that offline if you need. And if you guys want to see kind of a sample of the curriculum.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up
Will,
now.
can I share my screen really quick?
Or I'm pulling it up right now if you want me to do it. I got it.
I got it.
You got it? Okay. Go ahead.
So this is the curriculum. Just a sample, right? This is the first series here of what it looks like. Can you guys see it? Does it say Robot Sumo there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the first lesson here, right? This is just the PDF version, so I'm not going to play any of the videos, but right, it's Robot Sumo, understanding what Robot Sumo is. There's a pretty cool video of these fast little sumo robots. They're not the ones that we use, but it's to get the message across. Goes over rules. And then our curriculum has 2 style builds for the first lesson, right? So teachers can use this to tell their students, hey, build one of these style robots, and then we're going to test them. And then lo and behold, it goes into step-by-step how to program those 2 robots, right? How to use, these ones don't have any sensors, right? Because this is the first one. But it goes through step-by-step, how to program according to the rules. Then bam, it tells them how to download, find the file, and launch. And then it says, hey, go on your sumo map that you have from USEL and do a little battle, right? And it tells them the rules. And then it even has a tip here at the end. How can they improve that robot, right? Because we want to give them a bunch of ideas. And I think in the United States, this is kind of where we lack. There's not a lot of stuff out there to teach kids robot builds, right? And a lot of us aren't mechanical engineers, like especially me, right? But so here's the robot, find the winner. Pretty cool little thing. Lesson 2 has 2 more robots, but if you notice, like these ones are single motor. The lesson 2 starts off with the first series of dual motor robots. And then it just gets more expansive. So it goes from 2 motor robot build to a 2 motor robot build with the color sensor, 2 motor robot build with the color sensor and ultrasonic working together on the sumo mat. And then the final build has 2 color sensors, ultrasonic, and a flipper that can flip the robot. So you're setting them up for success there, right? So now these kids who go through this program are going to know how to build 5 different style robots, test them all out. They're going to choose the one they feel is best. Obviously, we're going to tell them to make some modifications so that way it's unique, all right? And you'll be surprised, this little single robot actually is pretty successful. It beats a lot of the bigger robots, surprisingly, right? So that's how the curriculum is set up, right? And then as kids start competing more and more, like the kids I have a learning pod here, they take off with these builds. So they do like the build, a lot of them like the 3rd robot that we use, right? And they create all sort of contraptions and things all over their robots. Spinning, Will saw earlier, there's like spinning handles on it. And so it's pretty cool, very successful, easy to follow. To be honest, the kids in my learning pod, after they did the first 2 robots, I just told them, hey, do your build. And then when you're ready, open up the curriculum and follow the coding instructions. And they teach themselves. So, and that's kind of where we want to take all our curriculum is any program that you're going to do through USEL, WRO, you should be able to be successful in it, right? So how am I going to offer a tournament and not show you how to do it? So,
Yeah, there's some questions coming in for the sumo. So
go ahead.
So first of all, Todd, I did get we'll work out some of the logistics of payments with you just offline. Okay, we'll talk about that later. But Todd, you also have a question on you aren't using the Sumo eye sensor. What do you mean by that?
Sugo is actually one of the FRC teams in my nearby region here in Garrett County, Maryland. They were running this Sumo, Lego, Sugo, they call it, tournaments. But Phil developed a sensor, I guess, in collaboration with, what's that third party company? Mindsensors.com. And it's an infrared emitter and receiver, and it receives in, I think, 6 or 8 different directions.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes the sumo wrestling far more exciting because the robots are constantly emitting IR, and they can sense where the other robot is. So the program can be developed so that when they see the IR, they can turn towards it and race at each other. My question was, are we going to be utilizing a sensor like that, or just what comes with a standard EV3 educational robot build?
So our philosophy right now is when we're providing curriculum for you guys to go promote your programs, right? We want these builds to be able to be built almost exclusively from that base educational kit, right? Because if you start working with schools, a lot of them aren't going to have expansion packs, multiple sensors, right? So I've run into that problem before where I have someone develop a robot, right? And I think like, man, this is super cool. I'm going to go show this school how to do it. The school's like, yeah, that's awesome. And then I go to run the program, and then I realize I don't have the parts to build this robot, right? So the curriculum designer that we're working with is doing 90% of the builds that we give you can be done exclusively with the educational kit, with the exception of maybe like the last build. If you see here, it has 1 extra color sensor, but all the other parts are educational kit.
So, and then and I guess, I mean, and this is going to be evolving. I mean, we could talk about it, Herman, but I think Todd was asking, he has some teams that may be more advanced and stuff like that. So we can talk about maybe.
Oh yeah. So, the same rules apply, right? Like as long as it's a Lego robot, you can build it however you want. You can use high Technic sensors if you want, third-party sensors.
Yeah, we may.
I know the IR one you're talking about. I mean, I don't know. I don't have experience with it. I've used like the Lego one in the past. But there is going to be, so the sumo category is going to be expanding, right? So there's going to also be
open division,
an open category where you can use any type of robot you want as long as it fits in the parameters.
Yeah.
Right. But this is year 1, but we're already working on that, Todd, and we'll have some sort of curriculum based around, hey, you can create this kind of robot out of these type of materials, but it's going to be something basic. And then the teams can run with it, right? But we're always going to strive to provide some sort of entry-level curriculum for your new teams that you're recruiting, right?
Yeah, so Todd, right. So we're really trying to get to those schools and clubs and organizations that really need an entry, but they don't know how to enter, and we're trying to make it easy for them, right? So
yeah. So and you see here, this sumo curriculum here is 5 lessons. The WRL curriculum is going to have a few more lessons with the builds, and we're also going to have the Lego EV3 and the Spike Prime. So, and we are developing sumo curriculum for Spike as we speak as well. Anything else? I know I went a little long-winded. I'm sorry. I just have a lot of information to get out. I'm really excited. I think it's gonna be a really great opportunity for a lot of us out here.
And I'm sure you guys are gonna have a lot more questions. I mean, we're gonna want to try to keep in touch with you, so we may reconvene, periodically, just to have conversations between us and talk about things. So
yeah, and like you said, once you submit your form and everything's official that you're official tournament director. Right, we're going to schedule tournament director training where I'll go through all the software that I showed you. I'll even have videos of the tournaments that I'm running here. They're small, but just so you understand how that software is used to run the tournaments, it's a game changer. I love this software. It's I can't stress enough. And it's one of those things you have, once you try it, you're going to be like, where was this software? The first time I used it, I was like, where was this software hiding? Like, man, this is game changer. So
Do you
Good
want
job,
to-
guys.
Okay.
all right. So just look for that email from Joyce. Will, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah. So Joyce on our team will be sending you out an email with some with this presentation and the link to the form to fill out your intention for 2021 and beyond, maybe. And we'd love to start working with you. I mean, we are excited. We're hopefully we can get outdoors, get outside our doors, and start help. I know there's demand out there. There's a lot of people eager just to get back out there and away from away from home and remote learning. So there's a lot of people that want to get their hands on robots right now. So let's do it, okay, guys? So that's it. If there's any questions, any more questions? Okay, well, thank you all for coming. Have a great night, and I will we'll talk soon. Okay, thanks everybody.
Thank you. Good
Thank you.
night.
Good work,
Thank you.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good night. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Bye.